Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's time for the madness. We've got conference tournaments wrapping up this weekend. Everything gets going next week with the NCAA tournament. Baseball season's around the corner. Soccer still going great this year and ready to make money betting on the games. We head into spring. Quickly bring in my co-host, Mr. Brandon Rush from Louisville, Kentucky. We'll get the show underway and get you ready to make some money this week. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I am good. I actually enjoy this week of basketball more than, say, the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament, just because it is the last chance for true mayhem to fully unfold. And you get a bunch of punchy underdogs who feel like they've got a chance, and they're going to give it everything they got.
Yeah, it's definitely a great watching season. We've sprung forward. The sun's out a little bit longer. And, conference tournaments, with the way that they're doing things now, you're getting good matchups almost the whole way through because a lot of the better teams are getting buys going into the later rounds. And then some of these guys, it is literally win or go home. And so great drama as we head into this week. And then, of course, next week, Selection Sunday coming out on Sunday. Baseball's right around the corner. So great time to get signed up. Go to fatjacksports.com. People taking advantage of the March Madness for free last week. Congratulations if you did that. If you didn't, $3.99 everything through the end of March Madness. Baseball season's free when you sign up through the football season still, but that will be going away. So good time to get that. And start building profit before football season. A lot of different games will be going this weekend. We'll have Premier League Soccer. UFC won again last week. Soccer had its first losing week in 2025 and its fourth losing week since June. So hard to apologize about that. But, yeah, it's always better to win in soccer than not. Basketball ready to get going. Last week we started out the week really, really good. One Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one during the week. Got to the weekend, had a total under, lost in overtime on Sunday. I mean, I'm 0-7 in the last 3 weeks on overtime totals under. Or totals under that go into overtime.
Go into overtime, yeah.
Actually, in overtime, I'm 1-11 on games going into overtime, period. And the vast majority of those were underdogs. So pretty unlucky over the last 2 or 3 weeks with some of the luck situations. But that certainly will turn. We were very hot early in the year in November, December. We were very, very hot. And a lot of that, some of that was because we were these 50-50 games, we were hitting 70% of those. So probably due for a correction, but ready to get that turned around. And the timing could not be better as we head, of course, into the big tournaments going this weekend. So what's going on in your world, Brandon? Ready for the tournaments, of course. Anything surprise you over the last week or so of basketball? And personally, what's up?
I mean, there were some games that you look at teams who you fully expect to be in the mix when it comes to Elite Eight, Final Four runs. Teams like Auburn, just going out there and not playing terrible, but playing maybe down to their competition a little bit. Couple losses here and there for some higher ranked teams, but not all that surprising considering what we talked about last week, how it is a difficult week to handicap because you got to question motivation for teams. It's senior day. It's the second time that you see some of your rival teams. But then you get a team like Oklahoma who appeared to be dead a month ago, and then they get a couple wins late, and they're depending on what happens this week, probably going to make the tournament now.
Inconsistent is certainly the key in not only in Oklahoma, but Texas and a few of those teams in the SEC that are toward the bottom. And then, what's interesting, Brandon, as we get to this time of the year, and you're right, we had our Auburn lose. They looked a little bit more vulnerable. Is Duke the best team in the country right now? Who's the best team in the country?
I mean, it probably is them, although you could make a case for a team like Houston, maybe an outside chance at a team like a Texas Tech that's playing really good as of late. But it's probably Duke, Houston, and then Auburn still for me, and then a big group of teams between like 4 and 12 that I could easily see making it to the final weekend.
Well, I tell you, we're going to be able to narrow down who's going to win the NCAA tournament because I've got some information here that when you turn to March, you get some of these analytics. The Ken Pom formula
Mm-hmm.
comes
Mm-hmm.
up, and so you can really kind of narrow down who's been winning. Of course, you can make anything out of stats, so this is not a given.
Sure.
But as you're filling out your brackets, this isn't bad information. So we're going to go over some of that here in a second. I am in the middle of selling my house right now.
Oh wow, that is a task that is good and rough, just because there is so much crap to dig through, literally and physically, um, between you know the underwriters, and you got to do all this and inspections, and then also too, you got to figure out what you're taking to the new place.
We have crap everywhere. There's nothing good about it. We have stuff everywhere, and it's where we raised. I'd say raised our kids. We raised our kids over through high school at this house. It's a very nice house.
Hmm.
Not listed yet, but you can email me if you want to buy it, I guess. But anyway, the we're going through all the stuff, and that's the toughest thing, I think, Brandon. You've got because I'm not really a sentimental person, and so I don't really care about most of it. I care about the pictures, and
Sure.
that kind of stuff. But if we find um, a shirt that there was a Dolphins jersey that my son wore between the ages of 7 and 9.
Like almost daily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care if he
He may
gave
want it, but
he does want it, but he doesn't want to take it with him because he lives in Manhattan and they don't have room for anything.
yeah.
And so my wife, of course, has box after box after box of stuff like that. That
Hmm.
and what's funny is we got up the attic, we found some of her mom had box after box of Karen's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a battle between what do we keep and what do we throw away. And
The generational purge is something that I don't think a lot of people really understand is something that has to happen. But I mean, as your parents get older, sometimes, and you take on some of their stuff, and then you get things that were handed down from your great grandfather. Yeah, it's a lot.
between generational purges and under totals going over in overtime,
You're at your wits' end.
I'm in no mood. I am in no mood, Brandon. I listen. There's not enough soccer wins and
No,
UFC wins and football wins to turn my mood from a sour one to a good one when we go through a stretch where nobody's going broke. They will. Some of them will act like they are,
sure.
but they're not. I mean, if you're following our system, you're not. You're doing fine. You are winning on the year. You're winning on in 2025. Things are going
Hmm.
great, but they're
Hmm.
not. But we go through these little stretches where we're not doing as well, and so and a lot of it has to do with luck. It really does. And so basketball, there's a lot of volume, and between generational purges, which is a good term, and unders losing, I'm in no mood, but ready for it to turn because when it does, and it always does, we make a lot of money, and we had made a bunch of money before, so it's all good. But very, very irritating. Let's look at the Kim Pom formula and
Yes,
some of the
because
different
I would
things.
say I don't know the exact numbers, but there is a trend where you have to be a certain number in like net efficiency and then a Ken Pom rating over the last like 20 years. If you are above or below a certain line, you are not winning the national championship.
Yeah, so top 25 offensive and defensive um, adjusted efficiency is
Yep.
really kind of the number. And these are analytics. These are who you're playing, how well you're playing, what you're doing on both ends of the court, really drilling down into the statistics of this tournament. So we can kind of look at some of these things, and I'm going to put together 5 or 6 and just give you some teams to think about. This will help you if you're putting your bracket together. So if
Hmm.
you want to make money in the games, go to fatjacksports.com. If you're putting your brackets together, listen to this. Ken Pom formula nine. Let's look at top 25 and top in offensive and defensive efficiency, adjusted efficiency. You have to be in this category if you've been a winner. 96% of the time, if you're in top 21 offensive efficiency and top 31 defensive, there's 9 teams, and 96% of the champions in the NCAA tournament come from this group. These are the teams that would fit that criteria: Auburn, Florida, Houston, Duke, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Clemson, Arizona, and Maryland. So those 9 teams, I know the Clemson's kind of the outlier.
Well, I was going to say Iowa State, but you look at their body of work and it is fairly solid. But I would pit them at the lower end of that threshold. But Clemson, Arizona State, those are some surprising ones.
Arizona, not Arizona State.
Sorry,
Clemson,
right.
Arizona. Yeah. So, but although I got bad news for Arizona coming up in one of the other categories.
I know what this is, and it's geographic.
Top 25, which gets you a little closer, and almost all over 95% or 93% come from this top 25 in offensive and defensive efficiency. That's going to eliminate 2 of the teams. So Clemson, Duke, Auburn, Houston, Florida, Iowa State, Arizona. So we lose Maryland in that. When you get a little bit better, top 25 offensively and defensively, you lose Maryland, and you lose who else there? You lose Texas Tech are the 2 that you'd lose. So those teams, those 7 teams, you should look at advancing deep into the tournament.
Yeah, at least to the Sweet 16, if not the Elite Eight.
So if you're trying to look for a long shot or an underdog, which has not really been the formula lately to win the tournament, steer clear of first-time head coaches. There's been no first-year head coaches at their current school that have ever won the NCAA tournament.
So not necessarily just a first-year head coach, period, but the first year at that university.
With their school, exactly.
Okay.
Only one coach has been with their current school for under 5 years. How about that? As that girl would say. Clemson, Houston, and Auburn are 3 to look at that they have longer-term coaches. So
yeah, Bruce Pearl and Kelvin Sampson have been there for a hefty amount of time now already.
Exactly. Geographic, 100% of the winners since 1997. And we've talked about this on this show, Brandon, for literally a decade.
Yeah.
That I immediately mark out the West Coast teams. No team east of the state of Texas, so cut the country right down the middle. If you are left, you have not won the national championship since 1997. Every one of them have been East Coast teams. So we talk about football a lot in that the SEC, and even with what happened this last year in the tournament and stuff with Notre Dame and Ohio State, I will maintain that if you're looking certainly for high school players to be recruited, but even in college, you're getting better players absolutely top to bottom in the South and the Southeast than you are in the North. Well, in basketball, it's been what were you doing in 97? I mean, that was a long, long time ago. I think I was starting the service about 1997.
I was so the tournament in 97, I would have been a junior in high school.
That's the last time a team east or at west of the state of Texas won the national championship. So if you're a guy that has Arizona or Gonzaga or BYU pulling the upset for the Mormons or something ridiculous like that, you are really swimming upstream. 100%, here's an interesting one. 100% of the winners of the tournament have reached the semifinals of their conference tournament. This is since 1985. So I'm back in high school. You've not had a team that has not reached the semifinals, Brandon, of their conference tournament. So you're not having that one and done in the conference tournaments. That are making the national championship and winning the national championship
since the Challenger explosion.
Exactly.
No team that has won the national championship has not made it to at least the semifinals of their conference tournament.
So the rest versus rust has not applied literally in our adult life. So these are things to think about as you're going to be putting your brackets together. If you're looking for a team that gets upset in the first round of the tournament, like that rest will help them. That has not been the case since I was in high school, and I'm a.
So if we see one of these, let's just take those 9 teams off the rack there from those Ken Pom efficiency ratings. If one of them were to stumble in the quarterfinals of the conference tournament, go ahead and just scratch them out for the Natty, because history tells us that ain't happening.
Yeah, you can run them deep in the tournament, but they're probably not going to win. Before last year, this is the last one. Before last year with Connecticut. Since 1990, all of the winners have come from a conference with at least 4 bids. So if you're looking for, it's bid
mid-majors or even
Gonzaga is not going to win. Those type teams don't get it done. What you've had to do during the year, and that applies even more this year than most because these teams are battle tested. SEC, Big Ten, even in Big 12, those teams very competitive. You can win or
That's like
lose.
30 bids between those three conferences.
Exactly. And so it makes sense that that's probably who's going to win again this year because they're
Mm-hmm.
going to cover most of the bids. They
Yep.
are the most seasoned, they are the most tested. And, when you look at a team like Duke with their freshman all star, probably the player of the year, he'll be only the fourth Wooden winner ever to be a true freshman. And rightfully so. The kid is better than everybody in college. I mean, he
Sure.
really is. But he's really not a freshman anymore if he ever was. So Duke is getting dangerous at the right time. That's one of those teams. We'll talk next week, but as we get before the brackets come out, I want to get all that information out there. People putting that together. If you have anything weird happening, make sure it's weird within that parameter, unless you're trying to do something that hadn't been done in literally my lifetime. Another way of putting that is the tournament's kind of fixed against lower school teams still.
It's not predictable, but it is trendable.
Yeah, the madness will happen this weekend coming up and the next weekend most likely. If you get one team into that Final Four, that's amazing. And this year it will be even more so, as you said. We're getting most of the bids coming out of those major conferences. So FatJackSports.com if you don't want to have to deal with that. I'll get people asking me, Jack, do you help with brackets? No. Brackets are like fantasy to me. They are something that's fun to do, a lot of fun, but a different skill set. I'm not looking. I'm not putting any time into what's going to happen 2 weeks from now in these games. I'm putting all of my time into what's going to happen this weekend in the conference tournaments, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and in this first round once these seeds come out. That's where all of my efforts will go. So I'll fill out a bracket with my family. Might win, might not win, don't care. Um, just trying to make money, betting on sports every single day when I wake up. So if you want to make money betting on sports, go to fatjacksports.com. I'll be able to get you on the right side of these games. And if you sign up right now, you're going to get baseball season for free. $3.99 everything through March Madness. You can get $6.99 everything through the NBA Finals, which is in the middle of June. And the reason it's not more, but the reason it's not $5.99 is because you're getting baseball for free. Once baseball for free goes away, which will happen this week, it'll be $5.99. So if you don't play baseball, email us. I'll give you $100 coupon code, take you out of the free baseball for free. But you want that. They turned over 50 games of profit in baseball alone again last year, and have every year except one over the last 15 years, and that's free. So you're going to make 50 games. So bet $50 a game just on the baseball. You're going to make about $2,500 for free, which is going to more than pay for your service fee before we get to football, before we get into summer. So great time to take advantage of that. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today, and win this weekend. What else is going on, Brandon?
Well, I wanted to also throw out there that the NCAA tournament is not the only game in town. There's the NIT, there's the other CBI or whatever. It is not uncommon for clients to get picks Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to the start of the NCAA tournament on these other conferences. So don't go into, getting a package thinking, oh, if I should sign up Thursday because that's when the NCAA tournament starts. You do that, you are potentially missing out on profit early in the week in these other tournaments.
You're definitely missing out, and you don't want to miss because, Brandon, every day counts exactly the same. And we've talked about that before. But every sport counts.
Mm-hmm.
Every profitable day is an important day.
Tuesdays are just as profitable as Saturdays. You make $100 a profit on Tuesday, it's the same as $100 a profit on Saturday.
And Sunday, when you have a bad beat on a Sunday, I had one play, and the plays will pick up as we go through the next 3 or 4 weeks. Plays will absolutely have more. We talked about this last week that if we're running a little bit worse, then we're going to have fewer plays.
Pare down a little bit,
because
absorb some damage, but perhaps, but at the same time, limit the mayhem and the probabilities that have been working against it.
I don't want to have 3 unders that lose in overtime. One is fine. One is plenty. It's a little bit like having beet salad. I mean, I'll take one bite, but I don't want a whole plate of beet salad.
Yeah.
So, but when that turns, and we're either not getting that, which is most of the time during the course of the year. You look at the season overall. Basketball started back in October. Most every month is 50-50 on. We'll have some bad beats. We'll have some lucky wins, and then most of the profit is generated through better picks than worse picks. So that'll happen most of the time. But when we go through these little stretches where we're getting a bad beat, there's no reason to. I'm not going to press because I'm playing my own money on these games. So, but with that being said, there is value on Monday, this coming week, of these, as you said, these other tournaments that are happening, some of the other games going on, of course, the NBA as well. We've been really good this year in the NBA, and the NBA will really pick up as we get into the end of March Madness and beyond. We'll have a bunch of NBA plays going forward. And after the break, we'll come back. We'll talk a little about the NBA. I'll also give national championship predictions coming up after the break as well. But you don't want to miss days. And the only days that are okay to miss are if you should sign up now for football or football and basketball. And if you don't want to play baseball every day, don't play baseball every day. If the plays are free, get the recommended betting guide. You will. You'll get it automatically. Actually, every single day picks are sent. You get a recommended betting guide. That's the most important information you can get the entire year because it really will separate winners from losers long term. Guys that bet. The only people that I will get complaints from this time of year, or really most of the year, are guys that simply can't read or won't read.
They flat out refuse to follow the program.
They refuse. And so they will not. They'll go, so, well, I've lost 5 games in basketball over the last week or so. Okay. So it's 2.5 games of football is what that really is. Are you jumping off a bridge because we go 5 and 8 over a weekend in football? I mean, it will happen once every 6 or 7
weeks.
Yeah, in basketball or football, we'll have that. You jumping off a bridge, then you definitely should not be doing that now because we're up on the season unless you're doing ridiculous things, unless you're not following our system. There's more volatility in basketball. We play half on baskets. I shouldn't have to explain that on an hour-long show because you get that information every single time you get a pick. If you're playing baseball, I don't want an email if we have a bad day or a bad week in baseball. Baseball's free right now. You're not even paying for it. So back your bet up, build profit slowly, and don't watch the games if you don't like baseball. But if you're going to miss plays, miss the baseball. Don't play them. You're paying nothing for them. Anything you're playing, if you want to miss, don't play the Triple Crown horse races. You get those for free. If I send out golf for free, don't play it. If you don't want to. If you want to make extra profit, you will play it. Because as I said, we're going to make 50 games or so of profit in baseball this summer, and it's not going to cost our clients anything. It's going to be free. But it's important that you follow those systems because the scale that you pay for the different plays is not random. It's very intentional. You pay more for football because we're going to build the most profit every year in football, almost always. Second will be basketball. That's why you pay for basketball. You just pay less for basketball. We play, and it goes down from there. Soccer, which has been the most profitable thing.
Over the last 8 months, 7 months?
Yeah, it's been the most profitable thing, and not because the others have not made money, but because it has just been so good. We've now had 4 losing weeks in soccer since last June. Only cost $15.99 between now and next year's Super Bowl. It's been that way for about a month, and so I don't even know what that is, but it's not much. $1,600. We are in March, so there's 52 weeks in the year. 4, 8, 12, 14. So about 35 weeks of soccer, or let's say 30. Let's round down to 30 and say there's 5 weeks where there isn't much soccer going on. There's 3 games or less.
$53.30 a week.
$53 a week to get soccer that is winning every week. You don't have to play much on soccer to turn a profit in soccer. It's just ridiculous not to get it. Player props. Player props win 4 out of every 5 weeks on average. You can get those now. Same price, $15.99 or so. And that's going to be about the same. You're going to pay about less than $100 a week for players props. You're going to make money 5 out of every 6 weeks in players props. So great time to plan ahead. Great time to get signed up. Go to fatjacksports.com. These tournaments are going to be very, very profitable as we head through the month of March.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week, get free winners, and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history's made.
If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun.
When gambling becomes a problem,
Visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host shooting his shot this weekend. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Getting you ready for the tournaments, conference tournaments, so many things going on. Go to fatjacksports.com. Get signed up today. If you're betting on the games, we're going to get you into profit. $3.99 everything through March Madness. $2.49 get you everything through this coming week. So if you're going to Vegas this week, $2.49 now. It'll be $2.29 on Thursday. So if you want to play just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a lot of people heading out to Vegas. Take my picks with you. They're very easy to receive. You'll receive them by email. Add them to yours if you like what you're playing, or play them solely if you want to make money, because we'll be able to at least limit your damage. And if you just play ours, you're going to make money. This is almost always a very profitable week betting on the games, and so you want to get those plays. $2.29 to get you everything through these first 2 rounds of the tournament, which, as we've talked about before, start early. They will be going early in the morning, all day long, and into the evening. So lots of volumes of picks. A lot of people will be going up to Kansas, doing a kind of a staycation up there if you're in Oklahoma, or if you're in Milwaukee and you want to go over to Illinois, go to Chicago for the weekend. It's a great way to go watch the games, not spend a bunch of money. And actually, with those type trips, you'll more than make up for, of course, the service fee, but even your trip most of the time, if you go to fatjacksports.com and get signed up for the plays for either $2.29 for the weekend or $3.99 everything through the end of March Madness. The better deal is longer term, $6.99 through the NBA Finals, which is in June. That's going to get you baseball for free through June, or go through the Super Bowl. Works out to less than $100 a week, a lot less, actually, about $50 a week when you sign up right now to get baseball for free, football through the Super Bowl. I mean, guys, if you're gonna bet on sports in the fall, now's the time to get signed up. Even if you need to pay out the service fee, the best rates are available today. A lot less than waiting until August or September, when you're going to want to play football, you're going to want to make money, and it's going to cost you more. So go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today, and win this weekend. Brandon, where do you want to go with this? You were talking about teams that are going to be playing in a different environment. We've seen stats on this. What do you got for us?
So this is an interesting thing. I always look at this time of year when it gets into conference tournaments, and especially into the NCAA tournaments, is when teams go from playing in NBA arenas or even NFL stadiums when the larger, Elite Eight, Final Fours come around, and how it impacts teams who are heavily dependent or are high frequency 3-point shooting teams. NBA arenas are hosting 5 conference championship tournaments this weekend. The Pacers, Cavs, Hornets, Knicks, and Wizards are all hosting the Big Ten, the MAC, the ACC, the Big East, and the A10 tournaments this week. And of teams that are, say, like the best 3-point shooting teams in the country playing in those environments, you're looking at Villanova, Duke, Purdue, Xavier, and SMU as like the top 6, say, 3-point shooting teams that are playing in those environments. So if that is a trend that sort of continues, maybe those teams don't hit in the upper 30s in 3-point percentage. Maybe that comes down a little bit. Maybe that's something to consider going forward, at least this weekend. And then in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, Cleveland, Denver, Milwaukee hosting sites. So those could be things to look at as we roll through the tournaments here.
Yeah, definitely a different environment from Cameron Indoor to
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're going to play if you're playing an NBA arena, and even a bigger step if and when we get to the national championship Final Four. Where's that this year? Is that
The Final Four is in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome, and then there is I want to say the Midwest Regional is at the Colts Stadium at Lucas Oil Stadium. So you're going to have potentially a team, or there will be a team who will play in two NFL-sized stadiums in consecutive weekends. The sight lines are so much different in those environments than they are in, say, a 7,000 seat arena.
Yeah, and we've seen that in the past make a difference, especially the
Mm-hmm.
first half of some of these tournaments. I mean, there's
Yep.
not enough practice in the world when you start putting fans in those seats, and they're
Well, and they only get like one, maybe two shoot arounds, like practices in those environments when they make the tournament. You know, the selection Sunday. By Sunday night, you figure out where you're going, and then you show up to the arena on Wednesday for your first shoot around, and you potentially play Thursday. You don't get a lot of a time to adjust.
yeah, those will be the regions, the ones that play in the NFL stadiums that will be targeting, and
Mm-hmm.
there may be some more first half stuff. The elites will probably get that because those we've been able to take advantage of that over the years, where those first half totals and those first half shooting percentages, the games will be closer, um, longer because of the adjustment that it takes for these players. And some of them never adjust. Some of them,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see some of these games where they're given 20, 25 points early in these rounds in the tournament, and they will, they'll win by 6 or 8 or whatever because they can get it done straight up, but covering those big numbers become a problem if you're not shooting the ball well, and especially if you get a little panic in you. That's the other thing you'll get teams that come into this tournament and they feel that the pressure of the world is on them, and they just don't
Mm-hmm.
perform well. They don't make free throws at the end. So those are all things you have to consider when you're trying to figure out who's going to win these games and put money in your pocket. National championship stuff: Duke a little over 3-1, Auburn 3.5-1, or a little more than that. Florida 7.5-1, Houston 8.5-1, Alabama now up to 11-1, Tennessee 16-1. The Vols the sixth choice overall to win the national championship. Michigan State after that have a very good year up in the Big Ten. Iowa State 25-1, Texas Tech, Texas A&M 30 or 40-1, somewhere in there. And then you go Maryland, Kentucky, Arizona. So who do you like to win the national championship, Brandon? And is there some value in some of these longer?
Houston, for me, it's Houston. Uh, Probably Florida, and then maybe a Michigan State who has really kind of shot up the ranks. I've got a futures ticket on St. John's that I plan on hedging at some point. But also a team like Maryland and also a team like Louisville. Those are going to be teams who I think are going to be making deep runs into the tournament. But if I held a gun to my head today, it's hard to not take Houston, but I'm going to go with Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you want good. We talked about this almost every year, but you want good defense. You want somebody that can play defense, or somebody that gets really hot. And it's really hard to predict who's going to get really hot. That becomes the thing. And so, if you're looking for advancement, you look for defense. Teams like Houston, teams like Tennessee that can ratchet it up at times. Michigan State certainly, Iowa State certainly. Teams like that can play good defense, and you need that for when they're not shooting well. If they're shooting well, these are easy. Good defenses to play good offense. Houston offensively worries me a little bit. I mean, you're trying to get a national championship. It's really difficult to get it across the finish line if you're not scoring a bunch of points. They remind me of San Diego State. They're in the past few years that they will muddy and ugly up games. And frankly, Michigan State does also. They've been scoring more, but it's primarily done with when they need a basket, it's not going to be threes. It's not going to be from the outside. They're going to try to get to the rim. That take you a long way, but it sometimes won't get you across the line. I'm going to take the Vols. I'll take Tennessee at 16-1. It's hard to fade Duke. It really is because
it is, yeah.
Because they're going to get home court in all of this. They are deep. They have a lot of really good players, and now they have a freshman that's an X factor. That's the best player in the country. So, who, by the way, can shoot it and get to the rim and plays defense. This kid's really, really good. For those who haven't watched a lot of Duke this year, but you're getting no value at 3-1. The other thing we should mention right now is that if you're going to play these teams to win the national championship on these futures, you should not do that. The square way or the general public way to bet these things is to go right now and play them at 3-1, 5-1, 6-1, or whatever. If you want to make money the way the sharp players will do it, there are guys that like Duke or like any of these teams to win. They will money line bet these games from game one in the NCAA tournament, and then they'll roll over what they win. So if you want to play $100 on take any team, take Florida, 7.5-1. So you're going to play $100 to win 750. Nobody that's smart, that's sharp money will do that. Not one player that makes long-term money will do that. We all will
at this time of the year.
This time of year,
especially at that low of a number.
Yeah, you can only do it. And really, on the longer ones too, it doesn't matter. If you're going to play $50 and you're going to play Texas A&M at 40-1, you're better off playing Texas A&M on the money line every single round through the tournament. Mathematically, you're going to make more doing that. So you roll it over. You don't play 100. So let's say it's a $100 bet, and you're going to play Florida at 7-1. You play $100 on Florida's first round game on the money line. All they have to do is win, and then you take your profit, 100 plus whatever you make, which would be they're going to be a favorite in the first round. So say you make
they're probably a massive favorite as a 1 or 2 seed.
They make $28, $20, let's say. So next round, second round, you're going to play Florida on the money line for $128. And then if you win that. You're going to take all that money, you're going to roll it into the third round and the fourth round and so on and so forth. And by the end of the tournament, you're going to make more than $750 doing that for that same $100 original investment. The flexibility it provides you, and this is why sharp players that are doing this for a living will do this, is that you don't have to always stay with that amount. So you get deep, you get into the Final Four, and Florida's still there, and you were right. Well, now at that point, you don't have to play. Maybe you're over 750 at that point, or at 750. So you're like, yeah, I don't love them against so and so, or you can play them with the points. At that point, you can deviate your bet a little bit and have it because now they turn to an underdog and they're getting points. That allows you to win the bet where you wouldn't if you had a $100 ticket on them to win the national championship. So file that away, guys. That's just one of those things that sharp players do that. The general public doesn't think about doing because that's literally all we're doing all day long is figuring out how to make money betting on sports. So if you don't want to have to think about that, go to fatjacksports.com and I'll help you with those things on a weekly basis all year long, 365 days a year. Back to the NFL a little bit, Brandon. Caesars Palace projected they lost $68 million because of the high level of favorites that won in the fourth quarter of the NFL season. So it was a historically good run for the general public in the fourth quarter last year. $68 million is a lot of net profit for one sports book. So baseball season, got a little nugget on that, and then I'm going to ask a question before we go to the break. Baseball season, the Chicago White Sox.
Historically, 100 game losers.
Yeah, they were 41 and 121 last year. And they were easy money for our clients and I. So you got under the win total. You've got under the win total with the Chicago White Sox 4 years in a row. It's been some of the easiest money all year long. So if you're looking for season-long sweats on these win totals, sign up now for football, and you're going to get these baseball. That's just free money. Last year I think we hit that. I mean, literally it was before the All-Star break.
The White Sox one, I think, was mid-July, maybe. Yeah, they were atrocious.
Yeah, so easy to win. Well, their win total this year, 53.5. It's the lowest in 35 years. So if you're
of any team, not just the White Sox, the lowest of any Major League Baseball team.
Only supposed to win.
That's rough.
Yeah, well, they had 41 wins last year, and they did literally nothing in the offseason.
That's a 12-game improvement if they hit that.
Yeah, so there will be a nice banquet at the end of the year for the White Sox. They hit 54 games. They go over the season win total, and they improved by 14 games off last year.
If you're bad at math, that is still 100 losses.
Yeah, that's season 10. Good seats still remaining at the White Sox game because when you start laying out those type of numbers, nobody's really that fired up about investing thousands of dollars to go watch this team play on a Tuesday afternoon when they know 3 out of every 4 of those show-ups are going to be losses. You're going to leave full, get some nachos, but you're not going to leave with a win. So just a little insight to that. The a couple of things I want to talk about, but I did want to ask a question. We got to go to break here in a minute. But if Brandon, do you believe this is to golf? We're to spring now, and the golf season is here or coming around. And if you, I saw this question. I thought it was very interesting. If you were at the Masters, you see the question?
I think if not, I have a different one. But
so if you were at Augusta, and tour players, all of them, got for the Masters, they had to play the full course.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do was every one of your holes started on the green. So your ball was placed on the green. That was going to be your first shot. Could you win the Masters?
I couldn't break par.
Couldn't break par. It's a very good question, because I don't know that I could break par or not. I'm not a very good.
I mean, the winning score of the Masters generally is low teens, so probably 12, 14 over the course of a 4-day tournament. You give me 18 holes of nothing but putting on those greens, 72, that's tough.
Yeah, the problem becomes the par threes and stuff. There are par threes in some of the placements, because it's not just they're putting you in the middle of the green.
Right, you're going to be obviously like you would
spot.
be the furthest, or the most undulation between you and the hole.
Sometimes it's the furthest. Sometimes it's just you're above the hole. Or if you're above the hole, it's impossible for your second putt to be on the green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you might have to.
A lot of times you're going
more often than not. Yeah,
you're going to have to either chip or putt from the fairway, and sometimes you might end up in the water. So I think the answer is probably no.
No, I could not win the tournament, but yeah, I would be lucky to finish under par in that scenario.
Something to think about, and it's kind of a trick question, because there are spots. If you've ever been to Augusta, there are spots on those greens where if your ball is there, and a tour player won't put their ball there, and if they do, they're not going to win the tournament.
Right.
So you have to beat the one guy. If you're talking about winning, we're not talking about making the cut. We're not talking about breaking par, which might be a better question, because you would like to think that on a par 5 you might be able to three putt,
right?
So that's an eagle. So because you're going to have some par 3s where you only get 2 putts that you made 4 putt.
There's also a couple where, because of the there's a shelf, and if you miss the shelf, it rolls off and you're in the water. I'm taking a penalty stroke from the green. Like, that's not going to be fun.
Yeah, so you've got some of those, you're going to make some big numbers. So winning the tournament, no, I think that's probably an easier question than I made it out to be, because you're going to have some of these holes you're going to take a penalty stroke, because the winner of the tournament is never going to have his ball in that spot, whoever that is. Now, making the cut or breaking par, different questions. I think it's an interesting thing, because it just shows how difficult it is. We sit at home, we're like, yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
How did you miss that putt, bro?
Yeah, it probably was bad. But even a good golfer, I mean, like I say, I found I was in the attic cleaning out my crap, and I found I actually played golf in college for a year. Found my Ouachita Baptist University college golf shirt and leather jacket. Actually, I made all conference there that year. And so I played some golf before. It's not like I'm new at golf. I mean,
the picture behind you shows you at Pebble Beach.
That's right. Didn't break par there. Lucky I finished with half my clothes off, so I'm lucky they let me finish. So, but yeah, I played there a few times and not broke par anytime. I've had some birdies there though at Pebble Beach. But anyway, I don't think I think it's an interesting question, but probably not that tough a question. The answer is no. Probably would not be able to win the tournament even if you started every hole on the green. So, FatJackSports.com, guys. Basketball season is here. We're in the middle of it. Great tournament action and a great time to get signed up, especially for those longer packages. I hate to beat on the same thing every time, but we beat on soccer for literally 3 weeks, and they continued winning. Now they had a losing week. I'm not going to talk about soccer that much, because if you don't want to play soccer, I don't want you to play soccer. What I do is I want you to win money. That's my only interest in this, is go sign up, make money betting on sports, become a long-term client. That's going to happen if you get all the sports. And there are those packages right now available that get you all of the sports through next year's Super Bowl, through next year's March Madness. So more than 365 days of picks through next year's NBA Finals. Those are the least expensive packages you can get anywhere for anything that's going to make you money. So great time to go do that. You can pay out those service fees over the next 8 to 10 months on those longer all-inclusive packages that include players props, include soccer, include basketball, football, baseball, everything that will turn you into a winning sports gambler. So go get signed up, fatjacksports.com. If you're driving through one of the states. If you live in Missouri,
Going on spring break.
If you live in Missouri and you're driving to Galveston, by the way, pick a better place to go on spring break.
Go skiing in Colorado. Go literally
or
anywhere else.
go ahead and pay the $300 flight and go to Florida. Galveston, you're not going to get good sand. You're going to get oil wells, and you might get oil on your body. And you may be drugged to Mexico on some type of sex trade thing. So be careful. Be careful in South Texas. You like Galveston, Brandon?
No, not at all. The last time, actually, the only time I went on a cruise, we were in Galveston. There was the Airbnb we were staying at. 2 days before we got there, got hit by a drunk driver. Like the house got hit, so there was like damage like to the house.
Indoor, outdoor.
It was a little combo stitch. The first night we were there, in a 6-hour span, we saw a horse-drawn funeral procession, and then a police chase that legitimately had about 18 cop cars in it.
People that like it weird in Austin, but are also Republican, they move to Galveston.
They moved to Galveston. They want to live the sea life and the salt life, and then they just mayhem ensues.
Ocean views and horse-drawn funerals. So that's what you do in Galveston. So anyway, if you're driving through, going there, be careful on spring break. Don't get roofied. It happens. And get signed up, especially if you're in Kansas or you're in Missouri. If you're driving through Oklahoma, if you're in any of these other states and going skiing. If you're in a state or by a state that has legalized sports gambling, now is the time to get signed up for one of these packages. It'll save you a ton of money, and it will actually make you money betting on sports versus giving your money away. Heading into the tournaments, I've been asked a lot this week, what's my favorite time of year? I think you and I are on the same page, but is this your favorite time of year? What's your favorite?
I mean, October, you get that 10 to 12 day stretch in October where you got football, basketball, baseball, hockey, right on the verge of the Breeders' Cup. That for me is it. This splice of time between like March 12th through like March 18th, March 20th is a close maybe second.
There's nothing like a few days in March, but October, you're right, just top to bottom. And also from a money-making perspective, there's so much money. It's like every day money's piling into the accounts because there's so many ways to make it with all the different sports starting up and football in full swing. So I'm on with you. October's the best. But I will tell you, the very little beats the first couple of rounds of March Madness. In Las Vegas, I get asked this a lot too, which is better, first opening weekend of March Madness or the Super Bowl or New Year's? It is March Madness, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I love the Super Bowl.
Better than Super Bowl weekend.
I love Super Bowl weekend, and it's almost always. I mean, we've lost 3 Super Bowls in the last 15 years or 20 years now, so it's always profitable. But it's one game, and you only get the one game, and we make money in basketball almost every weekend over Super Bowl week, so it's a lot of fun, and it is a nice celebration. But if you're talking about just from a spectator, I'm in town, there's always something to do. I find myself in Vegas during the Super Bowl having these stretches where I'm waiting for the next thing. We've got dinner or I've got this, and I'm not going to the spa because I'm in Vegas every week during the TV show, and I'm kind of tired from that. And so where March Madness, you wake up, games start at 9. I mean, if you didn't get your bets in the night before or you don't have an app, you're going to be close. So starting at 9 a.m., you've got action going. And so there's something, if you're going to get a seat at a sports book, that Thursday, Friday is the time. You need a seat. You can eat from your seat. It's not just 3 hours of action. It is all day long. You feel like you've done something. And then Thursday's over, like, gosh, that was a lot. That was great. And then you're like,
let's roll it back.
Let's run it back tomorrow morning. What are we going to do tonight? We got to get up early. So for me, it is the best weekend in Las Vegas. Frankly, and I would encourage people, if you live in one of the many states around a place, every place has sports gambling except the states that have lost their minds. Or they're
39 states have seen the light.
Or they're fighting with the tribes are fighting with the state. I mean, nobody can get along. So you're being punished as a citizen because these governments and entities can't get along. I'm looking at you, Oklahoma. I'm looking at you, California. I'm looking at Texas. Georgia just voted down a referendum. You're just hurting your constituents by not agreeing on something. If you don't have the tribes to deal with, I do not get it.
Yeah.
I get the ones that are fighting about revenue. The tribes have such a stronghold on the gambling entity in some of these states, and the states and their governors have said, I'm not going to give them that same level of money because it was okay 20 years ago. We believe we deserve more now that the climate has changed and we're adding a new form of gambling. I get both sides, although I hope and pray that they work these things out in some of these bigger states. But if you're in one of these states, I encourage you, if you're in Oklahoma, go to Kansas this weekend. Kansas City's great.
The Big 12 tournament's there.
Go to the Big 12 tournament. Stay in the Plaza District. It's almost a staycation. It's not going to cost you the same as to go to Vegas. Go to Hot Springs. You can bet on sports in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Go over there. This is the week. If you're going to plan a getaway, this is the week. Take off after Wednesday night. Go over. Find one of these sports books that's doing something cool and enjoy the weekend. Take my picks with you and make money this weekend. Have a great time. That's a great way to spend this first weekend of the conference tournaments, of the NCAA tournament. Even if you can't get to Vegas, take it to a state that they want you to gamble. They want you to gamble on sports, and take it out of the state that can't get their stuff straight. Don't sit around your house and eat Buffalo Wild Wings. Go out and go to Kansas. Reward them for getting stuff done in their state. If you're in California, this is the week. Drive over to Vegas because it's a great time. Lots to go do, and you're going to make money if you go to fatjacksports.com.
I need to do NCAA tournament. I need to do that weekend some year.
You definitely do. It's I could probably call and get you a seat or get a couple of seats at one of the sports books, and it's the best couple of days to do out there because there's just something going all year long. 39 of 136 NCAA football teams return the head coach, the offensive defensive coordinator, and the quarterback, Brandon. Only 39 of 136 teams. Every other team is going to have new players. And if you are not spending your spring and summer figuring out what those transfers or what those new players are going to do for the quality of that team from top to bottom, you are not going to make money in September unless you're just a lucky guesser. I'm going to be doing that. The teams that I won't have to worry as much about because they are returning those entities: Arizona State, BYU, Illinois, Iowa State, LSU, SMU, Tennessee, Vols fans, congratulations, Texas A&M, and USC. USC, an interesting one. Lincoln Riley returning both coordinators. A lot of those are teams that underachieved a little bit this year, but have a lot of pieces in place, and players have decided, you know what, we'll take the next step this year. Any thoughts on those teams who has the best chance in the fall to make the most noise?
Illinois is intriguing, but the style of football they play is not conducive to winning a conference championship, let alone a national championship. I think Arizona State falls off a little bit just because Scatabo was the heart and soul of that team, and he's going to be, I think, a solid player in the NFL. USC is the intriguing one for me because we've seen Lincoln Riley put teams in positions to be competitive. That one's kind of intriguing for me, and Tennessee is too. Getting Nico back is huge for
Lincoln Riley couldn't stop you and I running the opposite.
That's not that's fine, but offensively,
without a doubt, they're going to score some points. A&M is the intriguing one to me. I mean, when you start looking at teams that you expect to do well, they always disappoint. I mean, there's nothing worse than being an Aggie fan.
I mean, that Texas A&M and Missouri, that is like their MO.
But when you start being able to throw some of these other angles behind that team, stability becomes a big thing when a lot of the teams around you don't have stability. If you're A&M, you need Alabama, you need Georgia, you need some of those other teams Texas, to not have returning starters in those positions. Texas isn't on the list, and it's primarily because they lost their quarterback, but did they really? I mean, Archie Manning, if he's half of what he should be,
he's supposed to be.
Yeah, they're going to be fine at that position. So just a couple interesting angles before we talk so much basketball. I thought we'd throw a little football in there before we.
A&M's schedule is rough this year. They play Utah State, who's always kind of frisky. They go to Notre Dame, and then they open Big 12 or SEC play with Auburn. They get Florida at home. They go to Fayetteville. They go to LSU. They go to South Carolina, and then Texas.
LSU also on that list of returning offensive coordinator, head coach, and quarterback. So,
well, talk about 3 head coaches that I cannot stand: Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, Brian Kelly.
You may have to see
and their cupboards are stacked right now.
May have to see a little bit more of all of them. We'll hope the Mormons pull it together and they make a run as well. So BYU on that list. All right, any final thoughts, Brandon, before we get out of here?
I'm just excited for the weekend and really for the entire week, because with the conference tournament started Monday, we have college basketball for the next 20 something days, and there's just possibilities are endless. Although you gave us the list of the 9 or so teams that we need to be looking at for at least a deep run to the Sweet 16. If none of them get bounced before the semifinals, we have some possibilities next week.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that as we head into first week of the NCAA tournament. If you're playing longer term, get signed up before Selection Sunday. You get baseball for free when you sign up through football season or the NBA Finals. It's a very important date if you want to play baseball at all this summer. You're not paying for those plays. There is a baseball package up there. You can see it's $1,000 for the year. If you don't sign up between now and Selection Sunday, which is this Sunday. So, guys, enjoy your weekend. Wager responsibly. Have a great time during the tournaments, and go to FatJackSports.com to get signed up for your selections going on this new year. Head into the spring and summer and beyond. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the basketball. Until next week, Brandon and the Fat Jack. This has been Fat Jack Sports Out.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.